All right, check it out. Just got this today. I know this came out a few weeks back, but yeah, just got it. Mine just showed up today. It's the direct market edition of Wolverine Omnibus Volume 4. So we're gonna check this out. Lots of goodness in this one. I was super excited about this one when it was announced. Probably my second favorite omnibus, right next to, as far as the Wolverine omnibus is concerned, right next to Volume 3, which has majority of the Mark Silvestri run, or actually all of it, plus a ton of Sam Keith. This one here, a lot of Tashera work. I did opt for this cover because I just really like Mark Tashera. Nothing against Kubert. That other cover is pretty solid too. This one just was my preference. Something I wasn't. I honestly I thought the Kubert cover would have been the printed one on the actual hard backing. It's not. So bummer on that. I'm not even sure if that image is even in this volume. So yeah, let's take a peek at this. Really for me, it's all about TEX. So yeah, art for inspiration, mainly for TEX. You got a little bit of Sam Keith in here as well. What is it, like Marvel Comics Presents? They were the serialized pages, Wolverine versus Venom. Not the greatest, but you know, I'd rather have it than not have it, right? So got a Larry Stroman cover here, Wolvie 60. All right, so I'm gonna kind of glaze over some of this. This is a huge book, so I'm gonna be flipping through a lot of this. Might miss some cool stuff. Hopefully we catch some cool stuff though. All right, so let's see. Something about this book too. Unless there is an indication on the interior pages telling you who the artist is, or unless you have a good eye for style, you're not really going to know who did it. Yeah, so Tashera here. There's some pages later on that have Wolverine, and I think it's from the MCP issues, which are not Sam Keith. It doesn't indicate who the artist is. Some of them, I think, is like Dwayne Turner with Richard Bennett inks. Those issues are pretty badass. But then I think Rubenstein takes over. We'll get to those later. So anyways, yeah, so Tashera, these issues are masterful. Back in the day when these were coming out, being on a limited funding, being that I was too young to have a job, I think I missed most of these. I think I ended up with maybe 3 or 4 issues in total of these, and really it was more about if the cover was crazy sick, then I was picking it up. But yeah, Tashera, man, this stuff's, oh, man, I can never get enough of Mark's work. It's so fun, and even when he does kind of like weird wonky stuff, you know, you see it. You know, hindsight's golden. There's so much here that I really think a lot of artists today could benefit from. Just, I think a lot of people kind of, you know, they get stuck in this this 4-up mindset, or this cinematic theatrical kind of border layout where it becomes restricting. He's doing a lot of the panel breaks, a lot of this stuff before. Pretty sure this was pre-Image, or at least in the infancy of Image Comics. So yeah, these layouts are so cool, and then all this stuff too. You know, I think this is precedes the Sabretooth series. Oh yeah, and by the way, the Sabretooth series is in here as well. Okay. Wolverine Omnibus 4, a ton of it written by Larry Hama. Yeah, see, I never owned this issue right here. Yeah, really cool stuff. This is, I love this type shot right here. This is so cool. He does this thing where the horizon line is near the ankle. Not a lot of artists do this. A lot of artists will actually create a horizon line here, or they just act like it doesn't exist and it's a full frontal, where everything looks like you're looking at it from a 90-degree angle. This is really cool because he really Tashera is one of the artists in the 90s who would do this a lot. He would pick a focal point, and everything is kind of from that perspective point. Either a point, horizon line, right here you can see it as well. Not necessarily an ant's eye view, but definitely, you know, if you can see nostrils, you're below the character. And right here, it's pretty pretty cool. And man, she looks so awesome. Yeah, I definitely never owned this issue. This is really cool. And one of the nice things too, when this stuff was coming out, I think a lot of, you know, I don't know, I kind of figure maybe a lot of people watching this probably were introduced to Tashera as a kind of like a name, possibly through the Union miniseries when Jim Lee picked him up. He wasn't really super refined, especially inking his own work. He had a lot of stuff where he would just sort of, he was like an artist, right? Like a lot of brush inked outlines, a lot of super chunky fat contour drawing that would go with his work. But it matched, you know, it matched. I don't want to call it messy. Definitely don't want to call it messy, but you know, he wasn't afraid of some brush texture that might drop in on something that was not intended to be rough looking. But he gives you so much stuff to look at on every page that you know, yeah, this might be kind of wonky feathering down here, but the rest of this right here, you know, it deviates from it. It's so cool. So anyways, yeah, I can never say enough nice things about Tashera's work. It's just, I really enjoy looking at it. And yeah, if you guys are not familiar with this and you're a fan of his, I hope you see something here that you know, maybe inspires you to draw a little bit. This is sick. I like that shot. Yeah, one thing he's guilty of, and McFarlane actually has the same thing. I don't know if it's artist rushing or not. Eyeballs being on a separate plane. You know, this is obviously even the sizing of them is kind of weird, and it's a really strange error to make because they're so bold. You know, they're fully encapsulated in black shadow. So to not be able to catch that's kind of weird. Got some Weapon X flashback stuff going on. Alright, so we're going to get through this. Oh, that's super gross. Alright, let's skip some of this. Yeah, it's wild. When I look at this stuff too, I'm also kind of thinking about the colors. I feel like this stuff with like modern day colors would actually, it would still hold up. I'm pretty positive about that. All right, so Wolverine 64, you got a Mark Pacella, Dan Panosian cover here. You know, both of them ended up at Extreme Studios, as did myself. Definitely style over substance. The structure is all over the place. But, you know, hey, tapered teepees, straight edge hatching. That was sort of the... So, oh man, this is a straight up Jim Lee swipe. Yeah, okay, we're gonna skip over this. So we're not here for this stuff. Let's go ahead and skip some of this. I'm not even an eighth through the book. All right, I want to make sure that I don't miss any of this this stuff here. This is kind of a fringe homage, right? Rob did it. What was it? New Mutants 90s $7, $8.99, I forget. But you know, it's the John Byrne, you know, Cyclops walking away from the team. A little bit of a different take. You know, he's got, obviously, Wolverine's got a headache. All right, here we go. Yeah, this is cool. Super cool. A lot of this, too, I wonder how much of this was delegated. Because, you know, Tashera is a fine art. I mean, really just excels at everything. But like a fine artist, I would say, more so than a pen and ink guy. And a lot of this stuff here with the rim lighting and all this stuff here, I wonder how much of that he was doing to really bring more focal point to like the form and shadow versus the contour, because nowadays you let the colorist come in, right? And the colorist sometimes will sculpt it out for you. You don't necessarily have to indicate it, but I know like back in the day, these I mean, these colors were basically just flats with you know, a two-tone flat. And so I'm kind of curious if I ever get a chance to talk shop with Tashera. I'm definitely going to ask him about that. Just something I've always wondered about. Yeah, I've always just his approach to the female form. Yeah, you know, he's got the 12 head thing going. You know, so did Liefeld, so did Jim Lee, so did Wills. You know, they were all doing it. But it just looks cool. It looks cool, you know. He's got a little bit of zipatone action going on in here. All right, let's skip through this. Got some Nick Fury. Let's see. Then he gets some Marvel Comics Presents. Steve Lytle doing some art, I guess. Did a bunch of covers on Classic X-Men, if I remember right. Kind of has a... I don't even know. There's a group of artists that have never really stood out. I mean, I haven't really jumped on collecting their work, but they definitely have very, very similar styles. I would say like Lytle has a very similar kind of approach as like a still freeze, or even a really early oh god, what was his name? He was on Daredevil for a bit with almost a Frank Miller style. Scott McDaniel, yeah. Where it's like they really like to taper off these big, thick black areas and kind of use that as both a rendering and as a shadow. And then they start kind of, it becomes almost a crutch, you know, like this, to define the shape, versus actually rendering in any grayscale areas like this right here. Alright, skipping. We're going to get past this. I don't even know who this artist is. This stuff kind of reminds me a little bit. There are some panels that they scream super clean, Sam Keith. I did have some of these books. Yeah. Alright. Damn, there's a lot of this stuff. Okay, it also has... this was not a trade. It was like a... what do you call that? Like a deluxe. I don't even know. I'm pretty sure this was a one shot. I did not grab it. I got a buddy who did. I thought this cover is awesome. Bill Sienkiewicz on art. I can't tell you much about it. Never read it. Some really cool panels. The coloring in here is actually really cool. It reminds me a little bit of like Lynn Varley's colors on some of the color choices in the rendering. Elektra Lives Again, a little bit, but yes. And Sienkiewicz always kind of hit and miss with me too. I'll see like really cool fun stuff sometimes, but there's other stuff that's definitely off-putting and rushed, you know. A lot of artists that choose to go this very quick illustrative style. I noticed that a lot of them tend to do that. This is a really cool shot. Ashley Wood. Even some of Bisley's work, they can tend to, you know, it's one of those, it's dinner time, how do we get out of this page moments. And there seems to be a lot of those moments. It's kind of a cool shot right here, too. That squat. Squat shots in the 90s. If you ever look at my work, you'll be like, squat shots in the 2020s. They just look really cool. I feel like at some point the squat replaced that Art Adams charging pose. You know, that charging pose was a huge thing that those artists were leaning on, and that's kind of cool too. Kind of dig this. Very cartoony. It's weird. Yeah, and then, you know, Art Adams got his, you know, that famous cutout that all the shops had, that all of us were trying to buy from the shops. He kind of pulled that from a Paul Smith. There's a Paul Smith cover to an Uncanny X-Men book. Took it, redefined it, made it full Arthur. I don't want to say it looks better, but it definitely, I respect both. This is very super interesting. I'd like to see the line art to this. There's almost a Mignola style. He kind of flipped almost a Mignola look right here. That rendering is straight out of Portland. All right. I think Mignola was living in Portland at the time. All right, let's get through this. Okay, Sam Keith. Here we go. 117. I think it's 17, 18, 19. Maybe. I remember that I missed one because I thought he left the book. It had a different artist on the cover, and then I found out later, and then I had to run back and grab it. But yeah, so you get Keith doing this here. I imagine that he started the Max after this run of books, and the reasoning is his approach to rendering. And a lot of these characters, a lot of this stuff, it almost feels like this run of pages was highly influential to the first couple issues of the Max as far as like the aesthetic. Like, this is straight out of the Max. You know, you're missing that giant with the club, you know, and the Outback. But yeah, like everything about this just screams Max. But I do think that this work was like a huge level up compared to his work up through, what is it, like issue 100 with Nightmare. And I think Nightmare's in these as well. But yeah, this is like, that's straight at, this stuff, I mean, you could literally switch out Wolverine with the Max right here, I feel like, and it would work. Yeah, this is cool. So switch up, 118. This is one of my favorite covers of his, of all time, I think. But yeah, you can see it, man. This is straight out of the Max. Or is the Max straight out of Marvel Comics Presents? Yeah, these layouts are sick. Nothing but nice things to say. This work is fun. So fun. Pretty interesting right here. Went full Zipatone and then did some whiteout nib work in here. That's cool. Nowadays you just do this in Photoshop, you know. Crack open a brush set, throw some zip on it, or, you know, a multiply overlay layer. That's really cool. I like this. I don't question. Oh, this was the issue I skipped right here. Yeah, because I hate this cover. It just feels... As a kid, I was like, oh, this is a wannabe Eric Larson. Now as an adult, I'm like, this is just not... It's not good. I'm not going to slight Eric in that way, because this doesn't even appear to be like a Larson piece to me. But as a kid with young eyes... Yeah, I was definitely... Yeah, see, and I missed out on this. I did end up going back and getting it, but I think it was one of those, like, just to, like, make sure I had it. I don't even recall looking at it more than maybe once or twice. Yeah, and I really love this stuff here. This right here is an inker's nightmare. You know, there's no template that makes these shapes, so you're essentially having to eyeball it. Like this right here, I'm guessing maybe 2 circles and a French curve because this is a fully curved. That's not a straight edge on this edge right here, this giant one. There's no tool that's this size, you know. Uh, I mean, the only other thing I can think is he's got one of them giant, you know, Texas belt buckles or some shit turned sideways. I really don't know how to create this shape if I were to be inking somebody. Same with these. This is all French curviness right here, you know. Some French curve. Hopefully he throws some black against the edge, so when you uh, go off script, you know, this is kind of wacky. Those are supposed to be white eyes. I don't know why this colorist did that. Badass shot. Love this. Yeah, there's even a shot here. You know, there's even a shot of like that shark going at Max. I mean, that's even so. You know, like I said, this is very. This had to have been drawn around the time that he was working up the Max comics. It's so similar. This stuff. It's got the Gooner sprinkled with all that Gooner hair. All right, let's see. We got. That's a really cool shot too. I really dig that arm right there. He would go in, and Platt was doing a lot of this stuff too. A lot of this noodling on things that don't really exist in the hand, right? Like you see a little bit of a shadow here, but it's not a definitive line. But he's going in and fully dropping a black and then a fade coming out of it, or fades kind of feathering out this way, that way, and creating these really interesting shapes. It's not like, you know, I mean, essentially this right here would be if you were just cancerous and you had just polyps all over the place. It's kind of what it looks like, but it looks cool in comics. But in real life, it's like, as an artist, we would skip this. We might indicate the knuckles and 1 or 2 lines, you know, some of the Mickey Mouse stripes, right? The 3 stripes between the fingers. But yeah, he was doing a lot of that stuff. It was cool. I'm also glad he did it because then we got to see Platt do it. Platt had a really interesting way of doing it. During the Moon Knight, and you know, the first 2 or 3 issues of Prophet that he did. This page feels rushed. What happens to artists sometimes too, you know, it's like hiding all the stuff that takes a lot of time, you know, the chest, the abdomen, rib cage, and he like hit it, you know, the arm's the easy thing, and then he kind of blacked it out. So, but I really enjoy this. This is super cool. Well, like most, I like the white detailing that he keeps doing in Wolverine's mask, like right here. It has almost like a McFarlane feel, but not, you know. It's very. I mean, Sam has his own style, you know. He obviously comes from, you know, a very Bernie Wrightson, Frank Frazetta kind of school, but you know, he's got his own flavor of cartooning. You can catch it in faces. Some of his characters look like Muppets. Yeah, see, again, straight out of, like, this is straight out of the Max, this kind of stuff. This would have actually been, I mean, he probably should have repurposed this design. There was definitely, you know, see a little Max here up against whatever weirdness he's drawing. Yes, this stuff's cool. But again, yeah, so I gotta skip through. I'm getting stuck on Sam. It's a really cool cover right here, too. Good job to the colorist kind of trying to make sense of this. In the back of here, there is the black and white, and he does so much white splatter through here, it disintegrates all the line art. Pretty much from here down is really not even legible. He went a little over on it. Yeah, this stuff's cool. All right, I'm gonna skip some. do you want to see since there's one more? Yeah, this is like so. These two here is just like just get it done. Final page outro. He spent a little bit of time on this and some of the splatter. He had, to get this the right way. He definitely had to like tape some of this out. You know, doing the splatter effect. Some of it probably picked up here, but the only way to get that controlled is he's gonna have to mask this off somehow. Art Adams wraparound cover of the holiday special, illustrated by his biggest influence, Michael Golden. Yeah, this was a super interesting. When I look at this, the more that I look at this, it immediately makes me think. I think it's just a generational thing. It immediately makes me think of Brandon Peterson's Arcanum book, his creator-owned book, Arcanum, or even that, you know, the Misery one-shot. I got a video of that one-shot, the Misery one. So if you want to go back and check that out, feel free, go check that out. It's basically just me praising Brandon Peterson's job on that book. Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, this, you know, Michael Golden's work. There's so much to be learned from his work too. That's a solid book. This is a solid outing. All right, so we're back to more Tashera. You get to see him actually illustrate the full X-Men team. Colossus. I don't care what you think. Colossus every day is #1 X-Men, in my opinion. Yeah, these are cool. Cool pages. I don't want to examine them too much. I'm not even halfway through this. Let's try to keep this under 30 minutes. I don't even know how long I've been going here. 27. Yeah, we're going to bounce through this. Got some Elvis, Castro. Oh man, got some Maverick going on. It's a cool shot. Let's see, is this Omega Red? No, it's not Omega Red. Epsilon Red. Man, it's been a while. It's been a hot minute. He had an art assistant, Steve Biasi. Backgrounds. Okay. Actually made Jubilee look like a person and not just a, you know, a Jim Lee cutout version of her. Most artists draw her and it's like, it just looks like they're doing a spin on what Jim Lee illustrated her as. So that's kind of cool. I like this too. It's something you don't see these days, Wolverine smoking. I think Disney put the kibosh on that, didn't they? I know there was one variant cover, oh geez, there was some wraparound cover. It used to be a poster, and they digitally removed the cigar from Wolverine. Who drew this? Yeah, see, that's what I'm talking about. There's no artist mentioned here. Okay, so we're gonna bounce through these. I think most of this stuff here is gonna be just people who I was not feeling. Yeah, not feeling it. Dwayne Turner. Stuff was interesting. Really, the only ones that okay, so Chris Ivy inks does nothing for me. It's when Richard Bennett is in the mix. There was an issue or two after this where Richard Bennett comes in. It might be this one, because this looks really clean. It is, yeah, all right. So we got Richard Bennett as the inker. So this issue here, Wolverine 70, is deserving of its own Art for Inspiration video. Super cool. Great inks. If you're not knowledgeable about Bennett, I think I actually have a Richard Bennett video, or it might just be Jim Lee issues that are inked by Rich Bennett, but so good. So good. I've heard that he actually left comics and went into like movie production art or something. Like he's been out of it for a bit. But yeah, Bennett's ink's definitely awesome. And he comes from what was it, Continuity, right? I think he was working on some stuff with Neil Adams over at Continuity. But definitely was putting ownage on with as an inker. And then of course, you know, the brass. Oh, you know what it is? Maybe the Brass series. Yeah, because I have a whole video thing about that too. So yeah, go back. His name should be in the description. Should be easily searchable. BENNETT, I believe. All right. So you got Dwayne Turner. I don't think Bennett is part of this. Yeah, Bennett only does a bit, and then you got like Joe Rubenstein and Hillary Barta, or however you say it. Meh, you know. You can kind of tell where Bennett taps out. This is actually a really nice page. I think this is all. This feels like it's all Bennett. This one too. Yeah, Bennett was the only real inker out there that was challenging inkers like Danny Mickey or even like a Scott Williams as far as like, you know, being the noodle master, you know, getting in there, fine line detail that was technically sound, awesome fades, not overworking pieces, really knowing how to make, basically knowing how to make a piece so attractive that it would sell. You know, the original would sell. You could have garbage book and garbage production, but as soon as you see the black and whites, every fanboy would probably want to be buying that. This feels like these lines are kind of loose. See, I think this is where he tapped out. Yeah, feel kind of loose. But anyways, I think that those are Rubenstein. Kind of have a love-hate relation with Joseph's work, his inks. Some stuff I feel like it really enhances the work, but I think that there's a point where a penciler is more technically sound in their approach than the inker's capabilities, and then he kind of brings the work down, if that makes any sense at all. Got some cyber action. All right, so I think it's all like Steve Letto. Yeah, this is. Damn, that arm is long as hell. Wow. Yeah, I never owned these books here. So let's see. Got more. Yeah, more Dwayne Turner. Yeah, Bennett's already tapped out by this point, so we're just gonna skip this stuff. You know, at this point, it's just looking like he's trying to be, you know, like a helper at Wildstorm or whatever. It doesn't. They definitely suffer from subpar inking for sure. I'm not even gonna read who the inker is because it'll just be calling names at this point. All right, then you got the Kent Williams Wolverine Killing Book in here. Reminder, this is Wolverine Omnibus number 4, 2023. Kent Williams is interesting. He did some pretty cool. I like his stuff when it's more realistic. But I remember some stuff from Sandman that he had done. I have a buddy who was a huge Sandman fanatic when it was first coming out, and he stuck with the series, you know. But I would kind of peek through his books because they weren't my flavor of tea, you know. But there was some Kent Williams work in some of the stuff, and I just found it interesting. It was like he had no fear. Contour. It looks like Hunt 102, like no real line control with the pressure. Some of it's like would dither out to nothingness. But he'd come in then with these like super fat, almost sumi brushes and just start hitting black shaded areas, and I thought it was kind of cool to have that kind of lack of fear. Almost has like a what's his face, like a Klimt or like an Egon kind of approach. Yeah, I don't know. I always think it's interesting when you have someone who's like super into contemporary modern master art, and then they decide to come over to comics. You know, this stuff I don't recognize. It almost looks like Larson. It looks like Eric Larson is the plotter. Okay, that's weird. Yeah, the weird thing is some of these layouts scream Eric Larson, but it's not his work. So I wonder if he was doing layouts too. Like this right here is straight out of Spider-Man. Like that, this feels straight out of Spider-Man. Like there's Solo, Spidey coming in, right? Oh, this was nonsense. God. Yeah, here we're skipping this shit. We're gonna skip this. Yeah, I remember all this. Yeah, we're gonna skip. Okay, that might actually be the end of it. No, that's not the end of it. All right, we got the Sabretooth series. I'm just going to show you that it exists in here. We're not going to thumb through it. If you want to thumb through it, go to my other video where I salivate over the trade paperback. What was it called? Blood Hunt or something Hunt. The trade that has the whole mini-series in it. Top tier work by Mark Tashera. Absolutely another shot, like I was saying. Horizon line around here. You see right up her nostrils, but it's drawn so good. None of us cared. All right, we're going to skip through this. But yeah, so this has that whole series there. Michael Golden pinup. Travis Trey pinup. Early Trav. This is, you know, what was he working on? Dark Stars. Pre Wildcat Special #1. I was just talking about that Wildcat Special #1 with a friend. How awesome it is still to look at. It's just, it was, that book was, I feel like that book was a game changer, you know? Like there are certain books that come out that are kind of like game changers, even if you're not really using them as reference material. I feel like that was definitely one of them. It was just such a, it was like, I don't even know. It was like looking at Jim Lee under a microscope mixed with something else. Yep. All right. Skipping all this. Skipping it. Issue 4, Sabretooth Mini. So it's quite a bit. I mean, it's probably about 1/8 of this book is the Sabretooth series alone. Then you got this other stuff here. Not really a fan of this book. Feels very like that weird, you know, Marvel and DC kind of had their faces to the flame, I feel like, and they were forcing house artists to kind of draw like the pseudo image style. None of them could really pull it off. It's like if you don't understand the style to begin with, you know, you're trying to ice your own cake with it, and your cake don't, you know, your cake is fish, bro. You need to ice it with something different. All right. We're going to skip all this. Let's see, what's in the back here? Okay, not to the back yet. You get the, what is it, the WWF, not the wrestling, the World Wildlife, whatever, Foundation. So this was a book, I think this was a send-away, wasn't it? Might have been a send-away. I don't remember. Gives you some facts with the page, Wolverine related, because, you know, anything with Wolverine sells. Then you get the issue here by Kubert, where Wolverine loses his adamantium. I always kind of looked at the Kuberts like kind of the poor man's Jim Lee. They'd kind of hit it on the nose. Like this is totally on the nose, but then other things they would do it would lose me as a reader. Yeah. Later on, though, I mean, I went back and I started really kind of digging some other stuff. Andy, I think it was Andy, did a Superman book that I actually haven't released the video. It was a pretty fun hardcover collection. So yeah, you get to see Wolverine lose his bones. yeah, and then Return of the Bones, the Bone Claws. Cover to mine, Marvel Age 128 cover, pretty fun. Larry Hama right there. I got to go to dinner with Larry Hama. Felt bad for him. I was up in Denver in the winter, and apparently he's got like a metal pin in his hip. He had some surgery, so it made it very uncomfortable for him to be going out. You know, because when you got metal, going through anywhere, it's going to definitely affect your nerve endings. I think Silvestri ripped this off. Okay, so this is a Brandon Peterson illustration, X-Men Poster Magazine #2. Mark actually drew this for a Wizard cover. Damn, I don't have that next to me. This right here, I did a video about this, the X-Men Poster Magazine. This was the wraparound cover by TEX. Mark Tashera. Let's see, pretty cool pinup by Casada. Scioto. It's okay. Scioto's strongest work to me. I really feel like he peaked at Wildstorm. I think the Wildstorm trading cards, so good. They're so good. Mark Beecham. The anatomy to this almost felt like Tashera. I almost felt like maybe he drew and someone else painted it. Just this feels very. Tashera has kind of a gummy outline, you know, and it almost feels like that. That's pretty fun. Feels like a convention sketch, but still fun. Whitman. I'm going to assume that this was Bart Sears under that pen name. Whitman. You get to see some more Tashera pinup. You get to see Sam Keith. Hey, look, Deadpool. Deadpool wasn't even popular when this shit was coming out. Get to see a Sam Keith Deadpool kind of. Okay, well, anyways, this is the cover to the regular edition. My cover is like I said, my cover is the direct market, which is the Tashera cover. I'm not sure what all the options were. I just kind of picked and chose which ones. Here's that original I was talking about. Damn, look at this white splatter right here. Like, he full up drew through this whole thing, and he just went so heavy with the white splatter, it actually goes all the way up through here. It's madness. Straight up madness. Here's the original to one of the Sabretooth covers. That's pretty cool. Looks like he illustrated it on like 12 by 18 or 11 by 17 board, so that's pretty interesting. I almost would have assumed he had painted them larger, but he didn't. Some other pinups. Could do without some of this stuff. This is a pretty cool illustration right here. Here's the cover. Okay, so it was Death Hunt. This is the trade paperback. I got a video. If you feel like watching that, go back and watch it. I show you most of the work in it. It's been a while, but it should be a positive experience if you do watch that. A recoloring of that cover. Yeah, it's cool. All right, so then it ends. The back, it's still part of the collage, just different panels from it and all that. So yeah, man. So there it is. Wolverine Omnibus Volume 4. This is a long video. So anyways, thanks for watching. Go check out my other videos. Subscribe, hit all the bells. Read comics, buy comics. Support comics, guys. Thanks.